Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. I'm so glad that you've joined us. A little delay there. We've got some viewer comments kicking off the program this morning. I think you all can assume what the main conversation will be this morning. But good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Mark. Well, we are at war with Iran, and we have killed 40 leaders there. But the Democrats are at it again, saying it's illegal, and they weren't informed. But it was a surprise attack. You don't inform people that could leak information. Yes, there was a good point made. I can't remember who made it. But how they're demanding... Let me see if I can find it. I don't think I'll be able to find it fast. Well, that they're demanding the War Powers Act, that they should have been informed. I think the president has, what is it, up to 48 hours? There it is. Rick Scott. During Sunday Morning Future, Senator Rick Scott from Florida said, well, real quick, Senator, this is what Maria Bartiromo asked him. Before you go, you've got a vote on Tuesday. Some of your colleagues want to clip the president's wings in the middle of this war with a war resolution vote. What are you expecting and how will you vote? Scott said, well, I clearly am going to oppose it. And what's fascinating to me is the Democrats didn't do this under Biden or Obama. When Obama did strikes in Syria, not one. The Democrats didn't. They didn't come up with a resolution. So this is all politics. It's a good point. Well, thank you, Mark, for writing in. Kuwait's defense ministry says several U.S. military aircraft have crashed, but all crews have survived. All crew members survived. The statement comes after videos geolocated by CNN showed a fighter jet crashing in Kuwait and a pilot parachuting to the ground. It's unclear what caused the crashes of the aircraft, which each cost tens of millions of dollars. Relevant authorities immediately initiated search and rescue operations. Kuwait Defense Ministry spokesperson Colonel Said Al-Atwan said the crews were evacuated from the crash site and transferred to hospitals to assess their condition and provide necessary medical care. The crew members are in stable condition. Al-Atwan said Kuwait was in direct coordination with U.S. authorities. Oh my goodness, look at all these waves and these comments coming in. You guys are ready for it this morning. We also learned yesterday that former Iranian President Masoud Ahmadinejad was killed in an airstrike while under house arrest. Serving as Iran's sixth president between 2005 and 2013, Ahmadinejad is remembered as one of the Islamic Republic's most extreme and anti-Semitic voices. He was open about his aspirations to destroy Israel. So former Iranian President Masoud Ahmadinejad was killed during the airstrikes, and Trump has confirmed 48 Iranian leaders have been killed. Speaking with Fox News senior White House correspondent, President Trump said the United States has a specific list of priority targets remaining after dozens were taken off the board during the opening salvo of the joint U.S. military operations on Saturday. The president saying it's moving along rapidly. This has been this way for 47 years. It's moving along rapidly. Nobody can believe the success we've had. 48 leaders are gone in one shot, and it's moving along rapidly. The Israeli Defense Forces said it had killed at least 40 key Iranian military commanders, including the chief of staff of the Iranian Armed Forces. The majority of the highest-ranking senior military officers of the Iranian security leadership have been eliminated by the IDF, the Israeli military said. Others to have been confirmed dead include the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Major General Mohammad Kapoor, former Defense Minister Aziz Naziris, and former Secretary of Supreme National Security Council of Iran Ali Shmakani. Iranian state media have also confirmed the multiple members of the Ayatollah's family were killed in the strikes on Saturday, including his daughter, son-in-law, and granddaughter. The New York Times reported that the CIA had been tracking the whereabouts of Ayatollah al-Khamenei for months prior to the bombing of his compound in Tehran on Sunday. According to the report, the American intelligence agency learned that a meeting of senior leadership, including the supreme leader, was set to take place at the compound on Saturday. Due to the rarity of such a meeting, the U.S. and Israel are said to have taken the unusual step of launching strikes during broad daylight to ensure that multiple senior leaders could be taken out at the same time. Fighter jets reportedly took off from Israel at around 6 a.m. local time on Saturday morning, reaching their target in Tehran at about 9:40 a.m. The Wall Street Journal reported on Saturday that 30 Israeli bombs were dropped on Khamenei's compound, reducing it to rubble. Separately, President Trump said on Sunday that American forces have destroyed and sunk 9 Iranian naval ships, some of which he claimed were relatively large and important. Quote, "We are going after the rest. They will soon be floating at the bottom of the sea also. In a different attack, we largely destroyed their naval headquarters. Other than that, their Navy is doing very well." Trump revealed how long he thinks this campaign will last, saying that it's going as per planned, but said the strikes could continue for many more days. "It's always been a 4-week process," the president said. "We figured it'll be 4 weeks or so. It's always been about a 4-week process, so as strong as it is, it's a big country. It'll take 4 weeks or less," he said. All right, we'll read your comments when we come back. In a video address posted on his Truth Social on Sunday, he paid tribute to the Americans who have died. "As one nation, we grieve at the true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. Even as we continue the righteous mission for which they gave their lives, we pray for the full recovery of the wounded and send our immense love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. Sadly, there will likely be more before it ends. That's the way it is. Likely be more, but we'll do everything possible where that won't be the case. I once again urge the Revolutionary Guard, the Iranian military police, to lay down your arms and receive full immunity or face certain death. It will be certain death, and it won't be pretty. And he told the people of Iran, be bold, be brave, be heroic, and take back your country. America is with you." So we could be looking at a 4-week fight. President Trump also gave an update yesterday after the Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei was killed. During his speech, Trump described Operation Epic Fury as being one of the largest, most complex, most overwhelming military offenses that the world has ever seen. Trump also spoke about how the wretched and vile man Khamenei was dead, adding that it was responsible for the slaughter of countless thousands of innocent people. Saying, "Over the past 36 hours, the United States and its partners have launched Operation Epic Fury, one of the largest, most complex, most overwhelming military offenses the world has ever seen. Nobody's seen anything like it. We have hit hundreds of targets in Iran, including Revolutionary Guard facilities, Iranian air defense systems. Just now it was announced that we knocked out 9 ships, plus their naval building, all in a matter of literally minutes." He also spoke about how combat operations continue at this time in full force, and they would continue to go on until the military reached its objectives. He announced on Saturday that the U.S. and Israel had launched joint strikes against Iran with the intent to destroy Iran's stockpile of missiles. Joint American-Israeli strikes against Iran took place overnight, with U.S. President Donald Trump addressing both the nation and the people of Iran, announcing the strikes to eliminate imminent threats from the Iranian regime, which directly endangers the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Now, the media is suggesting that this is turning a lot of Trump supporters off, that they are not supportive of this. I would like to hear your thoughts on that. We've got a lot of comments coming in. We're going to read those here in just a little bit. But Trump pledges to avenge the fallen U.S. service members. "As one nation, we grieve the true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation, even as we continue the righteous mission for which they gave their lives. We pray for the full recovery of the wounded and send our immense love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. America will avenge their deaths and deliver the most punishing blow to the terrorists who have waged war. Our resolve, and likewise that of Israel, has never been stronger. The wretched and vile man had the blood of hundreds and even thousands of Americans on his hands and was responsible for the slaughter of the countless thousands of innocent people all across many countries. He said the U.S. forces had struck hundreds of targets inside Iran, key Revolutionary Guard facilities, air defense systems, and naval assets in, quote, a matter of literal minutes. Ahead of the strikes, the U.S. military amassed several, where is it here, called Armada in Iran's backyard, mapped out across the Persian Gulf and beyond, as you are aware. So we're going to talk more about this. Obviously, that will be the main focus of the show. We do have a couple other issues, some New York State issues that I think are worth commenting on. I know Zoran Mamdani receiving some criticism of how he's dealing with this attack on Iran. We're going to read your comments. We're just getting warmed up. It's hard to believe. We have so much to cover this morning. We're moving quick. We've got a lot of statements and a lot of talking heads from over the weekend. In regards to Iran, we'll tell you what they had to say. But as I said, there's numerous pieces this morning from various outlets suggesting that Trump supporters are mad at this attack on Iran. I would love to hear your thoughts, Trump supporter or not. So let's take a short break before we run too late, and we will read your comments when we return. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Hi, this is Tom Witzel, owner of Hesselson's in Amara Heights. At Hesselson's, we care about your well-being and overall health, whether it's relieving stress, muscle recovery, increasing circulation, or just revitalizing the body. Hesselson's now has 2 complete line of infrared and traditional rock saunas in our new and expanded showroom. Come in today and see why owning a sauna is the start of your new healthy lifestyle. Hesselson's is still locally and family-owned and operated in Amara Heights. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
In the nature, collisions happen when you least expect them. Deer hits can turn a tranquil drive into a chaotic moment. When the unexpected happens, turn to Scott's Collision. At Scott's Collision, we understand the frustration of unexpected encounters with wildlife. From dents to more extensive damage, we've got you covered. When nature and your vehicle collide, trust Scott's Collision to bring it back to life.
Good morning. Still cool out there today, but not as cold as yesterday. We get the help of some sunshine as well. Temperatures topping off in the low and mid 30s. As we head into the overnight hours, we'll stay milder with mid and lower 20s for our low temperatures. We are going to enter a stretch that is both wetter and warmer as we head through the week, with multiple opportunities for rain. Could pick up some good accumulation by the end of the week.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. A couple comments from viewers. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Jack. Jack says, I think the last straw of the regime was when they murdered tens of thousands of its protesting citizens. Hopefully, the same terrorist system doesn't bounce back into power. I'm hearing that the former king's son, Reza Pahlavi, may return after 40 years of exile. He has been in the U.S. most of this time. That could be a good thing. Thank you, Jack. Comment from a different viewer. I, along with the victims, the Iranian citizens, celebrate the ultimate demise of the dictatorship. Thank you very much. Now, Iran's security boss, Ali Larijani, has warned that the U.S. is not willing to negotiate and claimed President Trump has betrayed his America First slogan for Israel first. Quote, Trump's wishful thinking has dragged the whole region into an unnecessary war, and now he is rightly worried about more American casualties. It is indeed very sad that he is sacrificing American treasure and blood to advance Netanyahu's illegitimate expansionist ambitions. In another post, he said the Iranian nation is defending itself, claiming it did not initiate the aggression. And he sent a stark message to Washington warning we will not negotiate with the United States. Now, Bloomberg is reporting that Iran may lash out harder as Khamenei's death puts Tehran on a war footing, leaving the world to brace for what is next. The escalating conflict in the Middle East is fueling fears that Washington's pursuit of regime change in Iran and Tehran's retaliation could destabilize regions from the Gulf to Europe, leaving global leaders scrambling to assess the fallout. The U.S. and Israel launched joint strikes on Iran over the weekend, as we know. President Trump made it clear that the initial wave of U.S.-Israel strikes on Iran, that his objective was eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. The scale of the strikes by the U.S. and Israel, along with the apparent goal of regime change in Iran, suggests the military conflict could escalate rapidly and unpredictably, said Rexon Rue, president of the Asia Group, a business consulting firm. There is substantial immediate risk for regional and potential global escalation as Iran now use any available option to respond. The previous strikes were targeted at the nuclear weapons program, said David Silby, a professor of military history at Cornell University, right down the road, referring to the 12-day war in June last year when the U.S. and Israel launched airstrikes that damaged 3 key Iranian nuclear sites. But, quote, this one must be broader, aimed at command and control, headquarters and leadership, and the military and secret police generally. Since that doesn't seem to be a U.S. ground campaign in the offing, the goal is to get the regime overthrown domestically, either by a popular uprising or a palace coup. If the regime feels threatened, it'll lash out harder than you would even have thought it could ride out these attacks. All right. Tel Aviv analyst shelters from 30 missile sirens in 48 hours and says Iran will not recover. This is Kobe Michael, a senior researcher, at the Institute for National Security Studies, said we are facing a biblical event, nothing less. But this all requires time and determinations, and I do hope that Trump will also have them both. Trump is the only one who can make the change, and the change will impact the entire region and the international order for years to come. Now, Russians are threatening to strike on Europe in revenge for Iran, saying, quote, Trump untied our hands. It comes as Russian President Vladimir Putin expressed condolences over the death of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah al-Khamenei. Russian propagandists have threatened to carry out a horror strike on Europe in response to Iran's missile attack, as the experts blame Donald Trump for, quote, unwittingly creating political and psychological opportunities. Okay. The Russian president called the act a murder committed in cynical violation of all the norms of human morality and international law. Wow. In their conversation with Vladimir Solval, he said, Estonia is waging war against us. I think we should give it some thought that Mr. Trump unwittingly created a political and psychological opportunities for us. He untied our hands for our supreme commander-in-chief to do whatever he finds appropriate to do for the nation's security. The host of the show continued issuing threats to Europe. Mr. Solvay said, but we see what is happening. The only language Europe understands is the language of force, and only when the force is used against them. They saw that was used twice and decided they are protected in their little house. It's clearly time to strike their little house. The Russian foreign minister had sharply denounced the joint U.S.-Israel military operation in Iran the previous day, describing it as a pre-planned and unprovoked act of armed aggression against a sovereign and independent UN member state, and a violation of core principles of international law. Now, Iran is now being led by a 3-man council with varying views after the mass assassinations leave the huge power vacuum, according to Alex Oliveira from the New York Post. A council of 3 Iranian officials with mixed beliefs is governing Iran after the U.S.-Israel assassination of Supreme Leader Ayatollah al-Khamenei and 40 of his top lieutenants. We've heard, I think the president said up to 48. But the country's notorious top nuclear and security official, Ali Larijani, the man allegedly behind Iran's vicious crackdown on anti-regime protesters of recent months, could emerge as the most powerful man in the nation after the weekend's chaos dies down. Larijani is not one of the 3 men currently running the country. The 3-person council was convened on Sunday as directed by Iran's constitution and will run the country until an 88-person group known as the Assembly of Experts convenes to select the new supreme leader. Members of the sitting leadership council are Iran's moderate-leaning president, Mossad Pezeshkian, the hard-line conservative chief Supreme Court justice, and a member of the Iran's Guardian Council. So we could give you some more information about them, but I don't think that's necessary at this point. Your thoughts, again, many in the media are saying this is this happens about once a week, that this is getting MAGA supporters to turn on Trump. Your thoughts on that? We're going to tell you what the Pope had to say, what some other people had to say as well. We got a lot to cover this morning, so be a part of it, because the most important comments are from you. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Allegiant's flight from Elmira to Myrtle Beach starts May 22nd, 2026. Whether it's a weekend escape or a week in the sun, Myrtle Beach is closer than ever. Non-stop to sun, sand, and seaside days. From takeoff to toes in the sand, your coastal getaway starts right here at Elmira Corning Regional. Mornings on the boardwalk, afternoons on the golf course, and evenings with oceanfront dining or a flight away with Allegiant's new direct flight. Starts May 22nd, 2026. Book now at AllegiantAir.com.
Good job, buddy. Hey, buddy. It's time. Gotta go. Listen, I could be there in 15 minutes. Yep, see you soon. All right, you know the drill. Your brother could always do it. That's what I thought.
I just wanted to stop.
Good morning. Still cool out there today, but not as cold as yesterday. We get the help of some sunshine as well. Temperatures topping off in the low and mid 30s. As we head into the overnight hours, we'll stay milder with mid and lower 20s for our low temperatures. We are going to enter a stretch that is both wetter and warmer as we head through the week, with multiple opportunities for rain. Could pick up some good accumulation by the end of the week.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Comment from a viewer, off topic, but did you happen to see that given the current New York State energy mandates, that the increase in the cost of natural gas in upstate will double that of New York City? The cost of electricity in New York City wasn't listed, but the cost in upstate will increase over $4,000 a year. The increase of natural gas also over $4,000 a year in upstate. get rid of all New York Democrats and replace them with Republicans, and hopes that upstate will soon become the 51st state. Thank you very much. Yeah, we talked about that increase in cost on, I believe it was Friday's broadcast. Thank you for that. Now, the Pope issued a strong message to Trump as he broke his silence on the Iran war. The Pope urged the president to stop the spiral of violence in the Middle East before it becomes an irreparable abyss. The first ever American-born Pope noted in his speech that what is happening in the Middle East was with deep concern. I guess that means watching what was happening in the Middle East with deep concern, and in Iran during what he called a tumultuous time. He added, quote, stability and peace are not achieved through mutual threats, nor through the use of weapons, which sow destruction, suffering, and death, but only through reasonable, sincere, and responsible dialogue. Faced with the possibility of a tragedy of enormous proportions, I addressed to the parties involved a heartfelt appeal to assume the moral responsibility to stop the spiral of violence before it becomes an irreparable abyss. May diplomacy recover its role, and may the good of peoples be promoted, people who long for peaceful coexistence founded on justice, and let us continue to pray for peace. Now, 22 were killed as protesters tried to storm the U.S. consulate in Pakistan. Violent clashes between protesters and security forces in Pakistan's southern port city of Karachi, and in the country's north left, at least 22, the north, quote, comma, left at least 22 people dead and more than 120 others injured as demonstrators supportive of the Iranian regime attempted to storm a U.S. consulate on Sunday. The violence came after the United States and Israel attacked Iran, as you can imagine. In addition, 12 people were killed and over 80 wounded in clashes with police in the northern region when thousands of protesters, angered by U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran, attacked the offices of the UN Military Observer Group and the UN Development Program. A government spokesman said all staff working for those organizations were safe. He said protesters repeatedly clashed with police at various places in the region, damaged the offices of a local charity, and set fire to police offices. However, he said authorities had deployed troops and brought the situation under control. Now, at Columbia University, where we know recently the anti-Semitic protests were happening, it's kind of maybe you would consider it the starting point when we first started having the conversations of the college campuses that were pushing this hate, this pro-Hamas message. And it was at Columbia. Well, Columbia University Group responded to the strikes in Iran by saying, and I quote, remember, this is Columbia University students, quote, death to America. The anti-Israel student group, Columbia University Apartheid Divest, posted, quote, death to America in Persian on Saturday after the United States and Israel launched strikes against Iran's Islamist regime. So these are students, anti-Semitic students at Columbia University, posting in Persian, death to America. The social media post was also in response to the killing of Al-Khamenei. Their message, I'm not going to read the actual language. Another social media post on Saturday evening, the group said, X forced us to delete our tweet in order to gain back access to our account, but the sentiment still stands. The outlet noted Trump urged the Iranian people to take over the government in Tehran. He later said he knows exactly who could replace Khamenei, as his removal has shifted the diplomatic landscape. While declining to formally characterize the campaign as a war, Trump emphasized that the objective remains to eliminate threats to the U.S. and its allies. So again, at Columbia University, posting death to America in Persian on Saturday. Now, people are concerned that U.S.-based terror sleeper cells could be ramping up after the attack on Iran. And we had that a man who was wearing a, property of Allah shirt, carrying out that what is being deemed as a terrorist attack. I should have that right in front of me, but I didn't. My apologies. There it is. In Austin, the shooter entered the U.S. during the Clinton administration and became a citizen under Obama despite his string of run-ins with the law. I don't know how to pronounce his name, so I'm not even going to try. Arrived in America on March 13th, 2000 on a B-2 tourist visa during the Clinton administration. He killed 2 people and wounded 14 more during his rampage outside a Texas bar early Sunday. He then became a lawful permanent resident on an IR-6 visa in June of 2006 when he married a U.S. citizen. He had already racked up at least 1 arrest before that for illegal vending back in June of 2001 in New York City. He then went on to lodge a string of other arrests in the Big Apple between 2008 and 2016, but that didn't stop him from becoming a naturalized U.S. citizen on April 5th, 2013, around the start of former President Barack Obama's second term. Those 3 arrests are sealed, according to sources. He was arrested in Texas at some point on undisclosed charges. He was a known emotional disturbed person in both states, according to sources. He then applied for asylum in 2016, though the outcome or stated purpose of that application was not immediately clear. He opened fire outside Buford's backyard beer garden near the University of Texas Austin campus early Sunday, killing 2 bar patrons and wounding 14 others before he was shot and killed by police. He was wearing a Property of Allah hoodie at the time of the rampage and had a Quran in his car. Sources familiar with the investigation told the New York Post. The FBI is investigating whether this was motivated by the U.S.-Israel-led campaign against Iran. Sources said he was wearing an undershirt emblazoned with the Iranian flag or other Iran-related images. But we talk about the sleeper cells. Terrorist sleeper cells, possibly aided by Democrats' open border policies, could be gearing up in the U.S. to retaliate for the joint U.S.-Israel airstrike against Iran, according to counterintelligence experts. Although no specific credible threats have yet been publicly made, counterterrorism agencies are already dedicating resources to thwarting potential revenge attacks on U.S. soil, according to those familiar with the situation. Quote, if ever there's going to be a Hezbollah cell or a Hamas cell act in the United States in a violent way, it's now, said Chris Swecker, a former assistant FBI director. Quote, we know that they have cells here. We also know that there are lone sympathizers, many of whom have come out in these protest groups, claiming that the open border policies of the Biden administration were a gift for would-be terrorists seeking to infiltrate the U.S. And we had mentioned that. That was one of the real concerns with the complete open and porous borders of the Biden administration, that you would have potential terrorists crossing the border. Last summer, Customs and Border Protection warned about the increased possibility of terrorist sleeper cells when more than 700 Iranian nationals were allowed to remain in the U.S. after crossing the border illegally in the past 4 years. Swecker said, we just came off of 4 years of open borders, and I have said before that that was an open border for terrorists, to terrorist cells and terror sympathizers to infiltrate. Many were already here, but it's impossible that they would not infiltrate into these particular groups and sort of act as a catalyst, as enablers. The deeply troubled warning comes at the start of Operation Epic Fury, a U.S.-Israel military campaign launched Saturday morning that took out multiple senior Iranian officials, the president saying yesterday about 48. FBI Director Kash Patel said Saturday that U.S. counterterrorism and intelligence agents were placed on high alert as the campaign kicked off. Quote, last night, I instructed our counterterrorism and intelligence teams to be on high alert and mobilize all assisting security assets needed. He said teams nationwide are working 24/7, as always, to address and disrupt any potential threats on U.S. soil. While the military handles force protection overseas, the FBI remains at the forefront of deterring attacks here at home, and will continue to have our team work around the clock to protect Americans. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said she is in direct coordination with our federal law enforcement partners as we continue to closely monitor and thwart any potential threats to the homeland. Now, New York City specifically is on high alert, according to AM New York. It says here that Reuters reported that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard had hit back with airstrikes at Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Israel. Trump had claimed the Iranian Revolutionary Guard and others inside Tehran no longer want to fight and are looking for immunity from us. The NYPD issued a statement noting that it is carefully monitoring events related to the operation and beefed up security at potential targets for terroristic retaliation. Quote, as is our protocol and out of an abundance of caution, we'll be enhancing patrols to sensitive locations throughout the city, including diplomatic, cultural, religious, and other relevant sites. There are no specific threats to New York City at this time. Governor Hochul said that New York State Police are also increasing their presence at religious, diplomatic, and cultural sites statewide in coordination with federal, state, and local law enforcement partners, and have begun outreach to religious organizations ahead of the Jewish holiday of Purim. We're going to talk about what the mayor had to say a little bit later on. But he called the military strikes a catastrophic escalation in an illegal war of aggression. He said that he has been in contact with Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch and emergency management officials regarding proactive steps to secure sensitive sites within the city out of an abundance of caution. Additionally, I want to speak directly to Iranian New Yorkers. You are part of the fabric of this city. You are our neighbors, small business owners, students, artists, workers, and community leaders. You will be safe here. We're going to tell you more of what he had to say a little bit later on. A House Democrat leader and Brooklyn U.S. Representative Hakeem Jeffries slammed Trump for giving the military the go-ahead to attack Iran without seeking congressional approval. And as Rick Scott said, they never had this concern when it was Biden or when it was Obama. But, quote, Iran is a bad actor and must be aggressively confronted for its human rights violations, nuclear ambitions, support of terrorism, and the threat it poses to our allies like Israel and Jordan in the region. However, absent extended circumstances, the Trump administration must seek authorization for the preemptive use of military force that constitutes an act of war. Donald Trump failed to seek congressional authorization prior to striking Iran. Instead, the president's decision to abandon diplomacy and launch a massive military attack has left American troops vulnerable to Iran's retaliatory actions. We pray for the safety of the men and women of the U.S. military as they have been put into harm's way in a dangerous theater of war. We're going to tell you what others had to say as well. What are your thoughts? As I mentioned, some of the media are trying to present this as the end of MAGA support for Trump. A couple other comments here. Nicole Malatakis, who they are trying to redistrict her congressional district, gerrymander it, so she will be out of a job. She is the only Republican member of the New York City delegation. She lauded the military strikes against Iran, saying the United States has taken decisive and courageous action against Iran to defend our citizens, interests, and partners after the leading state sponsor of terrorism would not negotiate in good faith or commit to diplomacy over nuclear capabilities. Iran is responsible for attacks that have killed American citizens and service members and its continuous declaration of death to America while pursuing advanced nuclear capabilities, threatening the United States and our allies. The United States, the Middle East, and the world will be a safer and more peaceful place when the oppressive and murderous Iranian regime is eliminated. Bronx, Queens, U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and we have a piece that we may get to later on that suggests that there's far-left groups that are trying to get her to run for president. But she blasted, surprise, surprise, the military strikes on Iran as catastrophic and charged that a deliberate choice of aggression when diplomacy and security were within reach. She further charged that Congress needed to pass a war powers resolution to end the combat as quickly as possible and preserve the legislative branch's constitutional authority. Quote, in moments of war, our Constitution is unambiguous. Congress authorizes war. The president does not. I will do my part to uphold our Constitution by voting yes on Representative Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie, yes, Thomas Massie, war powers resolution. Every member of Congress must join us in rejecting this aimless war. We've got some other comments. I see a lot of comments from you, which is the most important, but we've got some other breaking stories, but I'm running late. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Accidents happen. If you're looking for an honest, dependable, trustworthy auto repair shop, bring it to Nappy's. Or if it's undrivable, have it towed right to us. It's your choice where to take your vehicle. Nappy's works with all insurance companies and will manage all vehicle calibrations. Nappy's has a state-of-the-art paint booth and a new and improved repair shop. Let our friendly staff of specialists help you through the process and get it done right the first time. Commit to Nappy's, family-owned for 3 generations.
Thank you for your business. state is putting nearly $60 million towards improving key roadways across the southern tier.
Many older homes are still at risk for exposing residents to high levels of lead.
The Nani Hood Parent Resource Center once again brought the community together for its annual Halloween parade.
Around the southern tier, the Finger Lake stands out for its scenery and wine scene. This year's dry drought brought some positives to the crop. Lee Com Center is looking for fans to show up and show out.
Say is a veteran. He was a combat medic in the Army.
I did tours in Korea, Germany, and Bosnia before I got injured.
There's been a lot of wear and tear on his body.
My knees are bone on bone from doing all those jumps and lugging my backpack and all that gear around. I was also exposed to toxins.
When Yusuf got out of the military, he needed help getting his disability benefits.
Luckily, DAV came to the rescue. They fought for me the same way that I fought for my country.
Every year, DAV provides life-changing support to more than 1 million veterans like Yusuf, helping them get the benefits they've earned so they can achieve victories, great and small.
Now Yusuf is paying it forward. DAV has been instrumental in helping him start 2 healthcare technology companies that are working to help veterans everywhere.
My victory is never giving up and finding more ways to serve.
He's pretty amazing.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Sorry, got distracted there. All right, let's go to some viewer comments. Good morning, Frank. It's all over for Trump. AOC is using big words like catastrophic. Good point. Then you know, that's when you know things are getting bad. Pakistanis attacking the American consulate was no Benghazi. What a difference a president makes. What a difference a president makes. You're right. Comment from a different viewer. I'm optimistic that Trump supporters think the invasion is a good thing. A president that is not afraid to tackle multiple major problems is a rare thing. Most would rather not get their hands dirty. It's the great ones like Washington, Lincoln, Eisenhower, the Kennedys, or Kennedy, and now Trump, that are bold enough to hold our country to the original design of the Constitution, well beyond the scope of the complacent ruling majority. Thank you very much. Mark writes in, as far as the Pope, it's okay that the Iranian regime killed thousands of innocent people. And how do you deal with all these people you take out, the people that killed them? The Pope should be happy that Iranian people might be free. Now, thank you, Mark. Hundreds of Iranian Americans filled the New York City streets to celebrate the death of Ayatollah Khomeini, cheering, "Make Iran Great Again." About 500 people flocked to Midtown in the afternoon chanting USA and Trump and thank you, also carrying banners reading "Make Iran Great Again." The group was headed towards Times Square while waving the Iranian lion and sun flag, which was banned after the 1979 Islamic Revolution sent the Middle Eastern nation into an era of violent oppression. Demonstrators even sang the old Iranian national anthem, celebrating the most major blow Iran's regime of terror suffered in its nearly 50 years. The death of its decades-long ruler, al-Khomeini, who was killed Saturday, and also eliminated about 48, I think the president said. At home, they don't call this war, they're calling this human rescue, the 45-year-old Raymond Shorab, who lives in Connecticut, said. We are here to thank the president, President Trump, and all the military. And the celebrations weren't limited to the streets of the U.S. Families across the globe and Iran were also cheering. The sprawling strikes, after weeks of protests there, were met with violence and widespread execution from Khomeini's regime. 37-year-old Riza Abrami says, I spoke to my mom this morning and she said we know the military action is the only option. She told me she would rather sacrifice her life that the world be safe. My brother was shot on the second day of the protests, she said. We are the voice of our families who are over there and cannot speak. We all have family over there. We are the voice of the people in Iran who cannot speak right now. Nezet Lavaf, 47, spoke to her mother in Iran, where she said many people are sheltering in place as bombs continue to fall. The government or state TV is saying to go outside. Don't stay inside your home. They're ignoring the state TV. They say the state TV, they want to kill the innocent people. That's why they want them to go outside. It's crazy, but they said they will listen to President Trump and stay inside. Think of that. Sacrificing their own people, saying go outside so that they can up the death count, trying in a propaganda type war, trying to make the United States look bad. My mother said she is so happy to hear that we are having this celebration. She is so happy to hear that we are celebrating the death of Khomeini today. We are all here today to thank Trump, to thank the USA. We changed all the music to dance music. We have been waiting for this moment. All right, we got to take a short break. Stay with us. So much more to cover. Keep those great comments coming in, and we'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
At Quickfill, what matters most is that our customers, our communities, and our heroes are taken care of. We start by providing American-made gasoline, which means you can buy local, keeping America and your communities strong. We also support vital charities every year and hold Operation Give Thanks each November to help provide a better future for our veterans and their families. We're proud to support the communities we live and work in, and we're doing our best every day to make our towns a better place. Quickfill, driving America.
What's our stories? The warmth of our laugh? Or our family's secret sauce? We all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
Good morning. Still cool out there today, but not as cold as yesterday. We get the help of some sunshine as well. Temperatures topping off in the low and mid 30s. As we head into the overnight hours, we'll stay milder with mid and lower 20s for our low temperatures. We are going to enter a stretch that is both wetter and warmer as we head through the week, with multiple opportunities for rain. Could pick up some good accumulation by the end of the week.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. So the worldwide celebration after Ayatollah Khomeini was confirmed dead. As of Saturday, multiple news sources, including Iran International, the Jerusalem Post, CBS, CNN, and the New York Post, reported that some Iranians within the country were celebrating. Unverified social media videos surfacing appearing to show people dancing in the street, though their exact time and location of filming remains unconfirmed. According to the Jerusalem Post, some social media videos show people lighting off fireworks from their balconies and calling out to each other from their apartments, with cheers and celebration in Tehran, specifically after Trump announced Khomeini's death. Other videos circulating on social media appeared to show Iranians celebrating, with some laughing as they saw smoke rise from the area surrounding Khomeini's palace complex in central Tehran. Some yelling in English, "I love Trump." The New York Post published a video, allegedly from Tehran, at nighttime that showed women clapping and dancing in the street, not wearing their hijab. Iran International, an independent outlet often critical of the regime, published a video from the city of Karaj that also shows celebrations, indicating widespread relief at the end of the supreme leader's reign. Operation Epic Fury preceded an extremely violent period in Iranian history following the eruption of protests nationwide. We've heard some estimated numbers, around 30,000 people killed just for protesting. In the United States, Iranians waved their flags from LA to Nashville. In Canada, Iranians convened in British Columbia in support of the military operation. One Canadian saying, "I think most of the Iranian people back home and in diaspora that you have seen from Munich to Toronto to LA were asking for Trump's support." Are we in a war and people are feeling afraid of the war? No, actually, people are thinking, and this is the way of liberation that is happening for Iranian people. We are so thankful to President Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu We were under this regime for 47 years, and literally all this time, we have tried all the ways that are possible, and every time the regime killed our people when there was protests. In Europe, large celebrations of military intervention erupted in London and Berlin. In front of the Iranian embassy in the United Kingdom, Iranians and supporters were calling for a full operation to remove the regime. We have been calling for foreign intervention in Iran to help us Iranians to topple this regime. The Berlin celebration featured loud techno music and dancing and shouts of "Thank you, Bibi." Now, what do you hear? And I know we got to take a break. Get ready to wrap up. How quick is this program going? We got to get ready to wrap up our number one. Before that, I got some exciting news. A little housekeeping here. Got this comment from a viewer this morning. Good morning. It's that time of year again. Wienerville is approaching quickly this Saturday, March 14th, or not this Saturday, Saturday, March 14th, to benefit for the Salvation Army of Corning and Ronald McDonald's House. So again, this was so much fun last year. I can't wait to attend this year. Third annual Wienerville benefit. Saturday, March 14th from 4 to 10 p.m. Dine in only. There's a hot dog and baked potato bar. There'll be raffle baskets and 50-50 drawings. Live music by Waste and Time. It's $18, which includes food and music. Come hungry, bring your family and friends. Support two incredible causes, the Corning Salvation Army and Ronald McDonald's House of Rochester. So again, that is coming up on the 14th, 4 to 10 p.m. I hope to see you there. I know I had too much fun last year not to go again this year. And the food's amazing. To add on top of that, talk about a bonus. All right, we got to take a short break. Stay with us. Getting ready to wrap up our number one. We'll be right back.
Give kids time. Just 5 minutes a day. Ask them how they're feeling. And listen.
To remind you that 60% of sales on Amazon come from independent sellers, Jess from Planetary Design will pour 60 cups of coffee for 60 adventurers.
Shoot, lost count.
Shop small business on Amazon. To remind you that 60% of sales on Amazon come from independent sellers, John from Bluecorn Beeswax will light 60 candles for Marv and Ethel's 60th wedding anniversary.
Marv? Ethel?
Shop small business on Amazon.
The health class film guy isn't the best person to talk to your kid about vaping.
Got a few minutes?
You are. Talk to your child about vaping today.
Good morning. Still cool out there today, but not as cold as yesterday. We get the help of some sunshine as well. Temperatures topping off in the low and mid 30s. As we head into the overnight hours, we'll stay milder with mid and lower 20s for our low temperatures. We are going to enter a stretch that is both wetter and warmer as we head through the week, with multiple opportunities for rain. Could pick up some good accumulation by the end of the week.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Let's go to some viewer comments as we get ready to wrap up our number one. The fact that the women didn't thank Israel, that woman didn't thank Israel, but did thank the U.S. is telling. Yeah, you're right. Democrats hope Russia attacks Europe so they can blame Trump. TDS justifies anything. Thank you very much. And Ken writes in, as far as I'm concerned, Trump has chalked up another win for the American people and shown the world yet again that the only way to peace is through strength and determination. It's sad that the Democrats have to spin anything Trump does as a bad thing. I think that the sheeple should be ashamed of themselves for backing a party that is more concerned about damaging the other side instead of working to help America prosper and keep its citizens safe. The Dems should rename their party the Obstructionists. Thank you, Ken. And yes, unfortunately, I have some outrageous comments from some of the politicians and the talking heads on the left. But I see that Ukrainian President Ukrainian President Zelensky said Saturday it is fair to give the Iranian people a chance to remove the terrorists that have been oppressing them as President Trump announced a major strike. He wrote on social media, events in the Middle East and the Gulf region are unfolding extremely rapidly. Unfortunately, Ukraine knows all too well what this is about. Although Ukrainians never threatened Iran, the Iranian regime chose to become Putin's accomplice and supplied him with drones, and not only the drones themselves, but also the technologies to produce them. Iran also provided other weapons to Russia. Other nations have also suffered from Iranian-backed terror. Therefore, it is fair to give the Iranian people a chance to rid themselves of a terrorist regime and to guarantee security for all nations that have suffered from terror originating in Iran. Our position is well known, and Ukraine has stated it repeatedly, including recently. It's important to preserve as many lives as possible. It's important to prevent the war from expanding. It's important that the U.S. is acting decisively. Whenever there is American resolve, global criminals weaken. This understanding must also come to the Russians. All right. We have some other statements. We have a lot of people weighing in on this over the weekend. We may get to a couple of other issues that I think are worth mentioning, but a couple of especially New York State issues. We'll try to get to as much as we can, but the main focus, of course, this morning on Iran. Would love to have you keep those comments and keep those waves coming in. We're having a good discussion this morning. I can't believe how fast it's going. The New York Times is being called out for their kind of softball approach on the death of Khomeini. Nothing new, kind of a soft touch obituary. We'll tell you about that. We do have a statement from our congressman that I want to make sure that we mention. Nick Langworthy released a statement late, I believe it was late Saturday, maybe early Sunday. We'll tell you what he had to say coming up in the next hour. And then Fetterman, again, being one of the only reasonable, level-headed Democrats out there. John Fetterman is going to weigh in on this. We got some radical statements by Zohran Mamdani. We'll see what Governor Hochul had to say. We got a lot to cover. I just can't believe how quickly this broadcast is going. So do you think, as I pose a question all morning long, numerous outlets are saying MAGA supporters, Trump supporters are turning on him over the Iran attack? Your thoughts on that? Oh yeah, Hollywood was whining a lot over the weekend. Oh, Mike Pompeo. We may have a situation or a comment from Mike Pompeo as well. Keep those waves, keep those comments coming in. Your thoughts as we are just getting warmed up, but already an hour down. It's hard to believe. Thank you for joining us. We will be right back after this.
Ferrari Auto Team!
The best hot cocoa?
Ask Google! The best ski resort? Ask Google!
The best Jeep dealer?
Ask Google! We did! Google reviews from customers rank Ferrario Jeep in Elmira the highest Jeep dealer in our area.
If you don't see me, I can't save you any money.
Check out the new Jeeps during our President's Day sales event.
Visit Ferrario in Elmira or at Ferrario.com.
Can you help me?
Mom, Dad, we're going out.
Thank you.
Oh, look, they're playing chess.
What you got there?
Will you help my mom?
She's real sick, huh? Hey, crew, I'll give the first move to anyone who signs up to be an organ donor. How do you do it?
Easy. Just go to organdonor.gov.
You heard him, organdonor.gov.
More donors means more hope. Sign up at organdonor.gov.
And we welcome you to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We got a couple comments coming in. We'll read those in just a little bit. But the New York Times was slammed over the weekend for what they're calling a soft touch obituary on Khomeini. The liberal outlet, the New York Times, published an article Saturday following President Trump's revelation that Khomeini, whom he called one of the most evil people in history, had been killed. While many Persians around the world celebrated the dictator's death, according to the Daily Mail, the New York Times took a soft touch approach with its coverage, headlined Ayatollah al-Khamenei, hardline cleric who made Iran a regional power, is dead at 86. The headline was accompanied by a photo of Khomeini strolling thoughtfully in his robes near an impressive column wrapped in red and white. Social media blasted the newspaper for failing to call the cleric a terrorist in the headline or first paragraph, where the paper wrote the cleric was known for, quote, brutally crushing dissent at home and maintaining unswerving hostility to the U.S. and Israel. The popular libs of TikTok posted the story and compared it to the death announcement of Dilbert cartoonist Scott Adams when the Times wrote that his comic strip, quote, was a sensation until he made a racist comment on his podcast, end quote. A cartoonist was a true threat to peace, obviously, a user sarcastically wrote. New York Times called Scott racist but failed to call out a terrorist. They are sick and evil. Insanely, I did check if this was a real headline or just AI. You just don't know these days. I did the same thing. I could not believe how that was framed. Can't hate media enough. People are upset the New York Times being called out for that headline. Senator Tim Sheeny from Montana reacted and offered up his own version of the headline. Others reacted to the New York Times headline by pointing out Khomeini was responsible for the murder of thousands. The Times obituary included reporting on the regime ordering the death of protesters speaking out against the government in January as well as in 2022. Joe Concha from Fox saying, I give up. Mark Thiessen, a Washington Post columnist, wrote in a reaction to the Times headline, you can't be serious. Judicial Watch's Tom Fitton reacted to the headline with mostly peaceful. You can't hate the media enough. The New York Times is garbage, said others. The White House communications team, the Times responded to some of the criticism in a post, saying the Times obituary report and reflect lives is full, illuminating why, in our judgment, they are significant. We fairly and accurately included the newsworthy details of each life and death and don't treat them dishonestly to score points like they're trying to do here. Okay. Congressman Nick Langworthy released a statement over the weekend saying the Iranian regime is the world's #1 sponsor of terror and has the blood of thousands of Americans on its hands. Their death to America chants and desire to annihilate Israel are not slogans. They are actively building the nuclear weapons and missile capabilities to make it a reality, and over the last 4 decades have taken every opportunity to kill. President Trump has given them numerous chances to de-escalate and has successfully built allied relationships with the rest of the Middle East region, who are supportive of the Epic Fury operation. The Gang of Eight was also briefed and was conveyed the grave importance of stopping Iran's military capabilities. This mission is about protecting our homeland and finishing the job of blocking this murderous regime from obtaining a nuclear weapon. It should be very telling that there are strikes that while our strikes are isolated to military targets, Iran has begun indiscriminately bombing of civilian locations. May God watch over our incredible U.S. service members who are tasked with the mission and those deployed across the region. This is a moment for us to stand united for lasting peace for America, the Iranian people, and all countries across the Middle East. It is also a time that we must be extra vigilant on our own soil, and Democrats must stop blocking funding for the Department of Homeland Security so it can immediately reopen. Time is of the essence. Thank you to Congressman Nick Langworthy for that statement. Now, Kamala Harris, who we learned last week is still thinking potentially of running for president again in 2028. She joined other far-left Democrats by stating that she doesn't support regime change in Iran. She described the attack as a war American people do not want. Her statement comes despite al-Khamenei being wiped out in his fortified compound along with 40 top Iranian security and regime figures. She said in a statement on X, let me see if I can find the whole thing. I hate when they cut it up and paraphrase it. This again, if you're just joining us, Kamala Harris. Donald Trump is dragging the United States into a war the American people do not want. Let me be clear. I'm opposed to a regime change war in Iran, and our troops are being put in harm's way for the sake of Trump's war of choice. And you may have heard a lot of people use that term on the left, war of choice. This is a dangerous and unnecessary gamble with American lives that also jeopardizes stability in the region and our standing in the world. What we are witnessing is not strength. It is recklessness dressed up as resolve. I know the threat that Iran poses, and they must never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. But this is not the way to dismantle that threat. During the campaign, Donald Trump promised to end wars rather than start them. It was a lie. Then last year, he said we obliterated Iran's nuclear program. That, too, was a lie. And let's all be clear-eyed about what comes next. The president has already said this conflict may produce American casualties. Doug and I will be praying for all of our brave servicemen and women who we know are undertaking dangerous missions with exceptional skill, discipline, and precision. Our troops deserve a commander-in-chief who approaches decisions on matters of war and peace with the same steadiness and discipline our troops show every day. Under the Constitution of the United States, the president must receive authorization from Congress to enter a war. But even if he had, that does not change the fact the action is unwise, unjustified, and not supported by the American people. There could be no equivocation in our opposition to Donald Trump's war of choice, and Congress must use all available power to prevent him from further committing us to this conflict. Our troops, our allies, and the American people deserve nothing less. Longtime Israel supporter and advocate John Ondrisk, who is in the band Five for Fighting, said, "Thank you, Kamala. We love you. Sincerely, the mullahs." Another person added, "When you can put a sentence together, we'll consider listening." A third wrote, "What the American people want has always seemed to have eluded you. Try to stop confusing it with what we want the American people to want. When the polls come out next week, you will again be totally surprised by how unpopular your positions are." Now, meanwhile, Governor Gavin Newsom said the airstrikes are illegal, while also taking a pot shot at Trump. The fellow California Democrat was quickly destroyed as his attempt to rip the president backfired. Quote, "The corrupt and repressive Iranian regime must never have nuclear weapons. The leadership of Iran must go," Newsom wrote on Saturday. But that does not justify the president of the United States engaging in an illegal, dangerous war that will risk the lives of our American service members and our friends without justification to the American people. One Twitter user said, "Which one is it, Gavin? They can't have a nuclear weapon and need to be removed, or is the operation not justified? Pick one stance, please. If you want to run for president, you should be comfortable making bold statements on where you stand." Another defended Trump's authority, arguing Trump was within his constitutional powers to authorize the strike, writing, "Not illegal, but you'd have to be able to read the Constitution to know that." That's in reference to his recent kind of kerfuffle, if you will, about dyslexia. Ilhan Omar called the Operation Epic Fury a reckless abuse of power. Donald Trump promised to keep America out of costly and endless foreign wars. He is now doing the exact opposite in the Middle East. Congress must vote on a war powers resolution immediately. That's what Hakeem Jeffries wrote. Chuck Schumer said in a social media post, "Iran must never be allowed to obtain a nuclear weapon, but the American people do not want another endless and costly war in the Middle East when there are so many problems at home." The administration has not provided Congress and the American people with critical details about the scope and immediacy of the threat. Confronting Iran's malign regional activities, nuclear ambitions, and harsh oppression of the Iranian people demands American strength, resolve, regional coordination, and strategic clarity. Unfortunately, President Trump, fitful cycles of lashing out and risking wider conflict are not a viable strategy. Now, in contrast, why did it not have, it says that Elon Omar commented on it, but I don't know exactly where that comment is. That's interesting. In contrast, Senator John Fetterman expressed support for the strikes on Iran, saying negotiations have never worked with Iran. Sometimes you have to take action to create peace. One of Trump's longtime Republican critics, Representative Thomas Massey, continued with his displeasure regarding the president, claiming that Trump did not seek congressional approval, though there was a meeting held earlier this week with a gang of 8. The U.S. military operation, working in concert with Israel, is targeting military targets and ballistic missile sites that pose an imminent threat, a U.S. official told Fox News. Look at all these comments coming in. Marjorie Taylor Greene blasts Trump's Iran strikes. Boy, she loves this attention. This is the media. This is perfect for the media, too. The media knows that they can now reach out to Marjorie Taylor Greene. She gets some coverage. Even though she's not running for office, she likes the attention. Greene posted a broadside against Trump's Iran strikes on social media. Quote, thousands and thousands of Americans from my generation have been killed and injured in never-ending, pointless foreign wars. And we said no more. But we are freeing the Iranian people. Please. There are 93 million people in Iran. Let them liberate themselves. But Iran is on the verge of having nuclear weapons. Yeah, sure. It's always a lie, and it's always America last. But it feels like the worst betrayal this time because it comes from the very man in the administration whom we all believed was different and said no more. Greene, who was a top supporter of Trump most of the time till the end, has become a fierce critic since last year. Earlier this month, she said Trump's Make America Great Again slogan was a lie and panned his first year back in office. One of Greene's former colleagues, Representative Marlin Stutzman, pushed back on her latest comments, saying, Marjorie, for whatever her reasons are, I don't understand them. But this is putting America first. America is leading. So again, we know that Marjorie Taylor Greene is liking that attention. But again, it leads to articles like this. End of MAGA. Trump's attack on Iran sets off revolt amongst angry supporters. On social media, the response among conservatives was, it's the end of MAGA. Meghan McCain, conservative podcaster, Meghan McCain, conservative? Okay. Wrote, remember when every MAGA personality screamed at the top of their lungs that anyone with the last name McCain was a bloodthirsty neocon warmonger who would bomb Iran and had no place in the Republican Party? Yeah, I didn't forget that either. Okay. Gateway pundit writer Cassandra McDonald reposted a post from the late Charlie Kirk, who had written after an earlier attack, quote, this is insane. Regime change will result in bloody civil war, killing hundreds of thousands and creating another massive Muslim refugee crisis. Toppling a leader is never as easy as you think. It's almost always results in further involvement, a civil war, and chaos. Resist this. Trump ally Andrew Tate was even more blunt, writing, nobody wants this war. War transfers wealth from the working class to the banking class. So does fraud and inflation. The working class man simply can't catch a break and is endlessly wrecked. This is the matrix. Extraction from the populace to feed a machine-minded host. Heartless. Wow. Then, of course, they quote Marjorie Taylor Greene. I did not campaign for this, she said. I did not donate money for this. I did not vote for this in elections or Congress. This is heartbreaking and tragic. And how many more innocent will die? What about our own military? This is not what we thought MAGA was supposed to be. Anna Paulina Luna said, hold your country in prayer right now. Hold your service members and their families in prayer right now. Hold the innocent people of Iran in prayer right now. One of her followers wrote, I'm afraid the GOP is going to lose the Senate as well because of this war. Conservative pundit Matt Lewis said, I was told that if I didn't vote for Trump, we'd be doing these forever wars. And they were right. I voted for Trump in 2016 and 2020. You can't change your mind when you can change your mind when new information is presented to you. I did that well before the 2024 election. When he lied about DeSantis and bragged about warp speed, I knew I was out. Now he is starting a very, very dangerous war. It's not too late to withdraw your support of a president who has betrayed the American people. Now, Mayor Mom Don, oh my goodness, look at all these comments and waves coming in. I appreciate that. You know, I got to take a short break. We'll read them when we return. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
An albino baby buffalo was born.
Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bus.
Day one of the National Glider Competition.
Give kids time.
Tired of cold weather? Sunny days are closer than you think. Get ready now for fun later with a boat, camper, or RV loan from Servview Credit Union at just 5.99% APR for up to 10 years. Adventure is waiting. Apply today.
Yeah, hello. I'm really not sure if this is what you all do, but I really don't have anywhere else to turn.
Hi. I don't even know why I'm calling right now. I'm sorry. My thoughts are going a mile a minute.
My kids are out of state. My buddies from the army are all gone now. I'm really alone.
I left the service last year. My mom just passed away a few months ago. I miss so much time with her. I keep getting calls about the bills, and I'm trying to get a job, but I feel so stuck.
Okay, ma'am. I'm glad you called.
Okay, sir. Let's stay on the line and walk through some things.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
There have always been a few, ready to fight and win. Since 1775, these few have been Marines, and they come from across this land to defend the future of our nation. This year, our Corps celebrates 250 years, and Marines are proud to serve this country, each other, and all that is still to come for America.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's go to some viewer comments. The United Nations should be removed from American soil. The building should be used for the Board of Peace. Thank you very much. Jack says, let them wishful think that Trump supporters are waning. Just shows how out of touch the mainstream media is. Ken writes in, it's the oldest political trick in the book, broadcast over and over again that Trump's approval rating or approval polling is falling. MAGA is no longer with him. The far right is becoming his only supporter, etc. Their hope is that they will pull some more people in the sheeple flock before the midterms. Their hope is that they will pull some more people into the sheeple flock before the midterms. And as I've said before, they could enlist any of their devious tactics. They couldn't enlist any of their devious tactics if it wasn't for the legacy media's dishonesty. Thank you, Ken. I kind of butchered that a little bit. My apologies. Comment from a different viewer. We are told that people that want to destroy America do it slowly. They will infiltrate government and do it from within. It is obvious that the Democrat Party is a conduit allowing this to happen. They have more non-citizens and naturalized politicians like the Squad. Time that all politicians should be born on American soil. Comment from a different viewer. As usual, Trump detractors offer complaints instead of better ideas. This person tweeting in response to Kamala Harris, hey Kamala, neglecting my opinion about the war, which I support as a humanitarian, I can definitely, without question, say that we, the majority of American citizens, don't want Democrats. The above extends to every single Democrat who opposes the war and says that Americans don't want it. Every single one of you stink. This includes the turncoat Marjorie Taylor Greene, too. Thank you very much. And comment from a different viewer. I don't have the stamina to be a Democrat. I wouldn't know whether to be madder at the Iran attack or the new ballroom. That's a good point. Now, Mayor Mamdani out of New York City said today's military strikes on Iran carried out by the United States and Israel mark a catastrophic escalation in an illegal war of aggression. bombing cities, killing civilians, opening a new theater of war. Americans do not want this. They do not want another war in pursuit of regime change. They want relief from the affordability crisis. They want peace. I am focused on making sure that every New Yorker is safe. I have been in contact with our police commissioner and emergency management officials. We are taking proactive steps, including increasing coordination across agencies and enhancing patrols of sensitive locations out of abundance of caution. Additionally, I want to speak directly to Iranian New Yorkers. You are part of the fabric of this city. You are our neighbors, small business owners, students, artists, workers, and community leaders. You will be safe here. The mayor, who said he had a productive meeting with Trump at the White House on Thursday, said, as I said, focused on making every New Yorker make sure they are safe. So the mayor of New York bashes Trump's decision to bomb Iran. Local elected leaders demand answers, like I said earlier with Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer. But Nancy Mace, responding to Zohran Mamdani, said it takes a particular kind of audacity or ignorance for a city mayor to appoint himself the conscience of American foreign policy while his constituents step over garbage on their way to work. History will not remember his bravery. It will not remember him at all. Senator Ted Cruz said, Comrade Mayor is rooting for the Ayatollah. They can't chant, or they can chant together. How is it that you can't differentiate between good and evil? Said Bill Ackman. Why is that so hard for you? Others went after the notion of safety. I don't feel safe in New York listening to someone like you, Mamdani, who sympathizes with the regime that killed more than 30,000 unarmed Iranians in less than 24 hours. We Iranians do not allow you to lecture us about war while you had nothing to say when the Islamic Republic shot schoolgirls and blinded more than 10,000 innocent people in the streets. You were busy celebrating the hijab while women of my beloved country, Iran, were jailed and raped by Islamic security forces for removing it. Iranian New Yorkers are thrilled today and see right through you. So receiving some pushback, Eric Adams, the former mayor, slammed Mamdani, as well as Bruce Blakeman slamming him. Adams said, let me be very clear. When the mayor of the largest city in America characterizes defensive action against the Iranian regime as illegal without acknowledging decades of terror sponsorship, nuclear escalation, and human rights abuses, that is not leadership. That is dangerous oversimplification. Words matter. When you are mayor, your statements carry weight, not just in New York, but around the world. New Yorkers deserve leadership that understands the difference between escalation and deterrence. You can advocate. Let me see. Is it still Adams? You can advocate for diplomacy. You can call for restraint, but you cannot pretend that Iran's leadership is a passive actor. It has funded violence, destabilized allies, and suppressed its own citizens for decades. Now, Bruce Blakeman, running for governor here in New York State, said he claimed that Mamdani supports Iran's brutal regime over America by opposing the U.S. strikes, and also took aim at Hochul for not condemning the mayor's comments. Zohran Mamdani showed his true loyalty, which is not to America and all peace-loving people, but to a brutal terrorist regime, all while American military members are in harm's way. Mamdani's bestie, Kathy Hochul's silence has been deafening. Two peas in a pod. Many people saying that Mamdani looks to be rooting for the Ayatollah. That's what Ted Cruz said. Do you say anything pro-American? Brian Kilmeade asked. Do you know any Iranians? They hate Khamenei. They celebrate his death. You should be celebrating his death. He's killed thousands of Americans and just killed 30,000 Iranians. Did you even say a word about that? You are an embarrassment. Please quit. It takes a particular kind. I already read that with Nancy Mace. Iranian New Yorkers are thrilled today and see right through you. When Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Turkey, UAE, Bahrain all support today's operation, eliminating world's #1 sponsor of terrorism, but New York City's mayor, Zohran Mamdani, is shilling for Iran. Michael Rappaport, the actor, who's actually kind of far left, he called out AOC and Zohran Mamdani. After the president authorized this attack, AOC, for one, ripped Trump as president who does not care about the long-term consequences of his actions and accused the president of refusing to use diplomacy in Iran, despite that diplomacy with Iran has been failing since 1979. Rappaport ripped AOC for remaining silent. You said zero during the last few weeks as 35,000 civilians were slaughtered, raped, and arrested in Iran. Resign. Now, New York, some other New York elected officials responded to the attack on Iran. Where's the one I wanted? Oh, Mike Lawler, who at one time was thinking about running for governor. For months, the Trump administration worked to negotiate a diplomatic solution with the Iranian regime to end their nuclear ambitions, ballistic missile program, and funding of terrorism throughout the region. But time and time again, the regime offered no concessions and unrealistic demands. I support the president's decision to strike Iran. No longer will the Ayatollah be allowed to engage in terrorism abroad and violent repression of the Iranian people at home. With this strike, the Iranian people will finally be able to determine the future of their country after 47 years of tyranny and oppression. As we continue to monitor Operation Epic Fury, I pray for the safety of our troops. As chairman of the Middle East and North Africa Subcommittee, Lawler has consistently advocated for return to maximum pressure against the Iranian regime. Now, we already mentioned what Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries had to say. Elise Stefanik, who many out there are still disappointed that she is not running for governor, said, as senior member of the House and Armed Services Committee and the House Select Committee on Intelligence, I have always been consistent that Iran cannot have nuclear weapon capabilities that would threaten the national security of the United States. Iran is the world's largest sponsor of terror and has targeted, killed, and wounded U.S. service members and civilians throughout the Middle East over the past decades, including soldiers from the 10th Mountain Division. Additionally, the sick Iran regime, controlled by the bloodthirsty Ayatollah terrorists, have destroyed a nation, continued to pursue nuclear weapons, threatening America and all of humanity, slaughtering innocent Iranians, and shed blood across the Middle East, including Americans. I know President Trump has to make some of the most difficult decisions imaginable, and there's no decision more serious than military action to protect our national security and American lives. God bless our brave men and women in uniform. The American people are praying for your safety. So there you are. We got to take another short break. Running a little bit late. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
You don't have time to go to the gym? The health club is not an option? Come to Hesselson today and see why swim spas and fitness systems can fit into anyone's yard and budget. 12-foot, 14-foot, 15-foot, 18-foot dual temperature hot tub and swim spas are all on display in Hesselson's indoor and outdoor showroom. Try before you buy. 0% interest-free financing options are available on every Hesselson swim spa. Swim and exercise year-round and start making every day better. After 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
An app can turn your life upside down in an instant. Pain, medical bills, time off work, it's overwhelming. And when you look to the insurance company for help, they don't see you. They don't see your family or what you've lost. To them, you're just a number, just dollars on a spreadsheet. Their job is to pay you as little as possible. At WYDC Injury Law, we see the person behind the claim. We fight for your recovery, your future, and your peace of mind. If you've been hurt in New York, call 607-500-HURT.
Never considered myself to be a heavy drinker. At first, I only drank with friends, then to get through the day. I hit rock bottom when I realized I was choosing alcohol over my family. That's when I made the call. With my doctor's help, I was diagnosed with alcohol use disorder. Now, I'm getting to the root of my addiction and finding better ways to cope. Mental health care works when you make the call.
When a child is fighting a critical illness, one truth touches us all. Every child deserves a childhood. A wish sparks a ripple of hope that transforms communities far and wide. And when we grant wishes together, we create a movement of kindness, strength, and unity. Become a wish maker today and be part of a journey
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studios. Some comments from viewers. Who does that pipsqueak New York City mayor think he is? He's nothing but a mayor. Does he think that anyone cares a single iota about what the communist thinks about anything? Get real. Mark writes, the stupid idiot that voted Mamdani in office are getting what they wish for. And for Hochul to uphold him may be the turning point where she won't make governor again. We hope. Thank you very much. Comment from a different viewer. So Lawler, who isn't even running for governor, weighs in, but not a single word that I have heard from the unknown wannabe Republican candidate. What's his name again? Bruce Blakeman? He was critical of Mamdani's statement, but I didn't hear a statement in general from Blakeman. Now, our governor, Kathy Hochul, sent out this statement. Following the U.S. military operations in Iran overnight, we are taking precautionary steps to protect New Yorkers. State police are increasing their presence at religious, diplomatic, and cultural sites statewide in coordination with federal, state, and local law enforcement partners. Additionally, in advance of the Jewish holiday of Purim, state police remain alert and have already begun outreach to religious organizations to offer support. While there have been no specific credible threats to New York identified, we continue to monitor online activity for any potential threats, and we encourage New Yorkers to remain vigilant and report suspicious activity. On MS Now, Representative Seth Moulton from Massachusetts said, let me be clear about, just again, how we got here. Trump said that he would stop the Iranian regime from killing its own people. As a side note, he didn't seem to care about his own administration killing our own people in Minneapolis. But nonetheless, he said, okay, we're not going to let the Iranian regime kill its own people. We're going to send an armada there. But the reason that the armada was not there to actually stop the killings when they happened a few weeks ago was because it was in Venezuela, which is not in our national security interest. And now he says, well, we need to conduct these strikes because we are not able to get a nuclear deal. I want a nuclear deal to prevent Iran from having a nuclear weapon. Well, he had that. He had that. So again, Trump wants to stop killing the people in Iran, but didn't care about killing our own people in Minneapolis, according to Representative Seth Moulton. Now, Vance is a little bit quiet. Some are speculating, as I've mentioned, that MAGA supporters no longer support Trump or something to that extent. Well, this is a common refrain. They tried to use this during Venezuela as well. J.D. Vance has kept a low profile following claims that he has differences with President Trump over the United States waging war on Iran. Vance has made no secret of his skepticism over America's involvement in foreign wars, and sources say the split has affected his relationship with the president. As everyone else in Trump's inner circle took on key assignments for the unauthorized strike on Iran, Vance was notably quiet. According to the New York Times, Vance did not oppose a strike, but intensely questioned the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane, and CIA Chief John Ratcliffe at a planning meeting for the attack at the White House 2 days before the attacks. The Atlantic also reported that Vance had reservations about the war plans. Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth and the National Security Team joined Trump at Mar-a-Lago on Saturday as the strikes were launched on Iran in Saturday's early hours. Secretary of State Marco Rubio was tasked with informing lawmakers about the impending attack, and White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt was heading up the communications team. Meanwhile, Vance remained at the White House with Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, and Energy Secretary Chris Wright in the Situation Room, where they were kept in touch via a secure line. Nothing was heard from Vance in the immediate aftermath of the bombing. Trying to kind of portray Vance with this kind of weakness. Now, Lindsey Graham, the war hawk, he was on Meet the Press on Sunday. He said, I think the Ayatollah would say, yeah. Meaning that we're at war. I don't know if this is technically a war, but here's what I can say. The headline is for me this Sunday, the mothership of terrorism is sinking. The captain is dead. The largest state sponsor of terrorism. Iran is close to collapsing. The leader of the largest state sponsor of terrorism and his team are dead. The mothership that fuels the proxies is in a sinking mode. The goal of the operation is to change that threat, not the regime. When this operation is over, no matter who takes over in Iran, they will not have ballistic missiles to hurt us or Israel or the region. They will not have the capabilities to be the largest state sponsor of terrorism, whether they're a cleric or a group of representatives of the country where there's an election. It doesn't matter right now. Iran in the future will no longer be the largest state sponsor of terrorism. They cannot rain terror on this region. They cannot commit mass murder. That's the goal of this operation. Again, the mothership of terrorism is sinking. The captain is dead. Well done, President Trump. It's been the policy of this country for decades to eliminate this regime. President Trump did it. He also said, Lindsey Graham on Sunday Night in America said, Cuba is next. All I can say is President Trump finished the job that President Reagan failed to do. I'm a big admirer of Ronald Reagan, but I'm here to tell you that Donald Trump, in my opinion, is a gold standard for Republicans, maybe any president, when it comes to foreign policy. Maduro, everybody talked about him. Well, Donald Trump has got him in jail. Cuba is next. They are going to fall. This communist dictatorship in Cuba, their days are numbered. The Iranian regime, the mothership of international terrorism, is about to collapse. The captain of the ship, the Ayatollah, is stone cold dead. All those people around him who helped him perpetrate this terrorism, they're on the run or they're dead. Finish the job. We've lost 3 Americans. God bless those Americans who sacrificed for the country. They died in a noble cause. Now, some in the Hollywood world, the Hollywood stars, were upset over this. We're going to tell you a little bit about that. We've got a lot left to cover, so stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox will be. Yeah, where am I at? There we go. We'll be right back.
An albino baby buffalo was born.
Nearly 500 kilos of cocaine has been seized in a bus.
Day 1 of the National Glider Competition.
And then the man didn't hire William Mattar and settled for a low-ball offer. Ooh. Ooh.
Bill, that's really not that scary.
Really? It gives me the chills. I mean, at William Mattar, we only handle motor vehicle accident cases, and they should have called us.
Dealing with big insurance doesn't have to be scary. Rideshare truck, motorcycle, car, only call William Mattar.
Every has a community, a neighborhood, school, place of worship, or other chosen groups. Communities can provide support when you need it, including helping your kids avoid underage drinking and other substance use. Learn more at talktheyhearyou.samhsa.gov.
The tide isn't just a gentle ebb and flow. It's a mighty force of change. Just like the tide shapes our shorelines, we can shape our planet's future and protect the world's oceans from its biggest threats. Help us turn the tide. Join Oceania's wave of ocean advocates who are making a difference in the world.
Morning, still cool out there today, but not as cold as yesterday. We get the help of some sunshine as well. Temperatures topping off in the low and mid 30s. As we head into the overnight hours, we'll stay milder with mid and lower 20s for our low temperatures. We are going to enter a stretch that is both wetter and warmer as we head through the week, with multiple opportunities for rain. Could pick up some good accumulation by the end of the week.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Boy, many in Hollywood upset, outraged over Trump's military action in Iran. Department of War, they weren't kidding about that, said Carrie Coon. Frequent Trump critic John Cusack, Rosie O'Donnell, Mark Ruffalo, Jack White, and Jane Fonda all chimed in after the U.S. and Israel launched offensive measures against Iran. Trump starts a wag the dog war to distract from Epstein and to do Netanyahu's bidding. Who's lobbied for this for over 30 years? Had enough yet? Cusick wrote. O'Donnell used the hashtag impeach Trump to post a post accusing the president of lying repeatedly. She tacked on 2 quotes from Trump's 2024 presidential campaign, one which blasted former Vice President Kamala Harris as the candidate of endless wars, and positioned himself, as the candidate of peace. The other one read, I'm not going to start a war, I'm going to stop wars. Jane Fonda said that we were putting troops in harm's way for all the wrong reasons. All the wrong reasons. The dangerous and insane war against Iran not only violates international law and our Constitution and War Powers Act, but risks exploding into a vast war of mass proportions, taking the lives of many, including U.S. service people. Jack White, the White Stripes frontman, said, behold the leader of the Board of Peace. Venezuela, Greenland, Iran, Cuba, what's the difference, right? Now, not all of the stars opposed the strikes. Casino star James Woods, who we know is conservative, said, as long as I am president of the United States, Iran will never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon, along with the caption, promises kept. Dean Cain said, man, we dodged a bullet and more. Elon Musk said, another one bites the dust. But many in the Hollywood set not happy. Mia Farrow said, madman in the White House impeach Trump. Kathy Griffin said Trump's response to his name being cited in the Epstein files 38,000 times, bomb Iran. What a weak argument. Who else? I think we probably went through enough of the Hollywood stars on this one. Except for Jane Fonda, as I mentioned, who's always protesting but on the wrong side of history when it comes to wars. The extremist actress often had this to say, where was it? Right now, we are witnessing the horror of an unnecessary, unprovoked war of choice raged by the Trump administration that has already taken the lives of dozens of school children because they bombed a girls' school in Iraq, among other civilian targets. Right now, parents are pulling their children out of the rubble, their bodies out of the rubble. This dangerous and insane war against Iran not only violates international law and our Constitution and War Powers Act, but risks exploding into a vast war of mass proportion, taking the lives of many, including U.S. service people. So there you are. There is Jane Fonda. Senator Mark Kelly. Now, remember, he put together the video to tell service members not to follow what he calls illegal orders. He says it's a good thing the Supreme Leader is gone and some of the folks around him. And I have to give a shout out to the young men and women of the U.S. military who, by their skill and, focus on the mission and determination and patriotism, were able to conduct the operation. So that part is a good thing. But what I also heard from Lindsay, and we saw in the president's tweet earlier today, is that they're talking about hope. The president said, hopefully, Lindsay a number of times said, we hope. Hope is not a strategy. We've got to have a plan here. I mean, what is the strategic goal and how do we achieve it? And my job here in the United States Senate is to make sure that that information, has a plan and doesn't put America and especially U.S. service members at further risk. What is this about? I mean, the president said the Iranian nuclear capability was obliterated last summer. And so is this about that or is it about ballistic missiles? Lindsay talked about ballistic missiles being able to range in the United States, reach the continental United States. They don't have that capability. Now he was trying to imply, now he was not implying that, but they're trying to achieve it, which is true. But that's going to take a long time. So what was the imminent threat? Or is this about, getting rid of the entire regime, which is really challenging? There's not an armed opposition in Iran. My concern here, going forward, is what happens now. We saw in Iraq that in 2006, Saddam Hussein was finally killed. And then, over more than a decade, we lost 1,500 Americans. I don't want to see a wide conflict in the Middle East. I think the administration, my sense is that they do not want... They did not go into this with any kind of strategic plan. It was an operation with no discussion about what comes next. Senator Mark Warner was on CNN and called it, and this is the kind of talking point now, a war of choice. He couldn't make the choice because the aircraft carrier that would have assisted that operation was off the coast of Venezuela at that point. And our allies in the region, and Europe in particular, who would have been helping us make that choice in January, were very focused on the president's, crazy folly around Greenland. So the fact that he has chosen why now, as opposed to a few weeks from now, to have given the negotiation a bit more time to see if that plays out. Okay. Senator Tom Cotton was on CNN's State of the Union, and he said this is a chance for the Iranian people to rise up and to reclaim their freedom. The more immediate question is, Iranian military power. That's what they used to retaliate against our bases, against our Arab friends, and against Israel. And that's the methodical campaign that the United States and Israel is conducting today. We always said Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. They also can't be allowed to have a vast missile arsenal, and that's exactly what they have. Thousands and thousands of missiles, much more than the United States and Israel have, and missile defense combined. And it's much easier to kill the archer on the ground than it is to shoot his arrow out of the sky. So what the American people will see in the days ahead is going to be a methodical and systematic focus on Iran's missiles, its missile launchers, and ultimately its missile manufacturing capabilities. So they can't continue to threaten our troops and Israel and our friends in the region. We don't know what the future will hold for the Iranian regime, but as President Trump said, this is a chance for the Iranian people to rise up and to reclaim their freedom and to chart their own destiny after 47 years of violent oppression. He also said that Iran didn't learn anything from last year's strikes. They didn't learn a thing from 14 bunker busters, did they? They still harbor those nuclear ambitions, and they are still churning out missiles by the hundreds to add to a stockpile of thousands and thousands, and that can range all of our bases in the Middle East and in the Indian Ocean and Europe with ambition to hit us here in the United States. That is not a tenable situation, and we can't tolerate for the long term. Certainly, Israel and our Arab friends can't tolerate it. We're going to tell you what Fetterman had to say when we return. I see a lot of comments coming in. Keep them coming in, and we'll be right back. But frankly speaking, here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Accidents happen. If you're looking for an honest, dependable, trustworthy auto repair shop, bring it to Nappy's. Or if it's undrivable, have it towed right to us. It's your choice where to take your vehicle. Nappy's works with all insurance companies and will manage all vehicle calibrations. Nappy's has a state-of-the-art paint booth and a new and improved repair shop. Let our friendly staff of specialists help you through the process and get it done right the first time. Commit to Nappy's, family-owned for 3 generations.
Thank you for your business.
Morning, still cool out there today, but not as cold as yesterday. We get the help of some sunshine as well. Temperatures topping off in the low and mid 30s. As we head into the overnight hours, we'll stay milder with mid and lower 20s for our low temperatures. We are going to enter a stretch that is both wetter and warmer as we head through the week, with multiple opportunities for rain. Could pick up some good accumulation by the end of the week.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Some comments from viewers. With Iran, when they have a nuclear bomb, they will explode it in this country. All people should know this. Look at your history. Thank you very much. Mark writes in, excuse me if I'm wrong, but Russia supports these communist countries like Venezuela, Iran, and Cuba. So basically, we are cutting off the fingers of Russia, and they denounce it. Yep, you're right, Mark. They were not happy with it. That was, we talked about so often, the allegiance amongst Cuba, Iran, and Russia. Comment from Rick. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Rick. Well, everybody's hero, Donald the Peacemaker Trump, has started a war with Iran. He dragged his partner in peace, Netanyahu, along with him. This ought to get the old boy a Nobel Peace Prize. So if Trump totally obliterated Iran's nuclear capability already, why is he back in there to stop their nuclear capability? Is he a liar? I would agree the regime needs to go. They are among the worst people on earth. But that ought to be able to be accomplished without blowing up girls' schools. That's what you get when Trump and Pete mass pandemonium instead of mass obliteration. Russia says the attack on Iran was an unprovoked act of aggression on the part of the United States. Say what? At any rate, Trump attacked a weak country that posed no imminent threat to the United States. He attacked without consulting Congress, our allies, and the American people. Again, they took out a tyrant and some of his evil cronies. Now what are we going to do, Donald? That's from Rick. Comment from Ken. On another topic, I laughed like heck yesterday when my wife told me that there are new concerns about the, quote, worsening of Trump's dementia because of more bruises on his hands. For 4 years, it was clear that Biden couldn't string 10 words together, but he was as sharp as a tack. Yes, that's how the media and Chuck Schumer and others refer to him. You're exactly right, Ken. Now, several Democrats supported President Trump after this attack on Iran. Senator John Fetterman and Representative Don Davis, a Democrat from North Carolina, plus Greg Landsman, a Democrat from Ohio, issued statements in which they expressed that Trump, quote, has been willing to do what's right and necessary. Representative Landsman spoke about how the U.S. was destroying Iran's missiles and bombs to stop them from taking more lives. Fetterman wrote Operation Epic Fury. President Trump has been willing to do what's right and necessary to produce real peace in the region. God bless the United States, our great military, and Israel. We need to stand together to bring an end to terrorism and human rights violations, wrote Davis. A regime that supports terror, destabilizes its neighbors, and aims to destroy other nations can't be trusted. Global instability fueled by extremist proxies threatens the safety of American citizens and our allies. Fetterman said negotiations have never worked with Iran. He was on Fox and Friends this weekend. Sometimes you have to take action to create peace. Why can't we all agree that the Iranian regime has to fall? It's about country over party. He also said President Trump has been willing to do what's right and necessary to produce real peace in the region. God bless the United States and our great military and Israel. He said that Iran's strike critics they are just bizarre. He called Representative Thomas Massie and Ilhan Omar and other Democratic critics bizarre. I would like to remind my colleagues over in the House that Iran massacred 30,000 of their own people right now. This war is not about the Iranian people. It's about the poisonous regime. And that's why I'm proud to stand with our military. I'm proud to stand with Israel, too. I might be a Democrat, but in this specific case, the president's absolutely correct to do these kind of actions. Now we have Israel's back. This is why it's entirely a path for peace in the region. How many treaties, how many treaties have been negotiated never throughout this world and would never work? Iran has only ever responded to these kinds of things. And now here we are right now, and they have the opportunity, real peace, and to change their way, committed to destroy Israel and to stabilize the entire region. These things are necessary. We got one other piece on this before we move along, maybe cover a couple of... Oh, good morning, Frank. What's up with Lindsey Graham? I rarely agree with that man. Yes. Well, in this case, he's pretty strong in support of the attack on Iran. He's kind of considered a war hawk. He's always looking to get into a war throughout his whole career. Mike Pompeo says Operation Epic Fury is righteous and the regime change must follow. Of course, Mike Pompeo served in the Trump administration as the 6th director of the Central Intelligence Agency and the 70th U.S. Secretary of State. He said the benefits of such a shift would be truly historic. Terrorists would lose their primary sponsor, Americans' adversaries would lose a key outpost, incredible economic opportunities would develop, and the highly educated Iranian population could emerge as a natural partner for the United States. We've taken the first step towards a future in which this equally destructive and truly evil dictatorship can no longer hold the world hostage. But we can't resolve the problem if we don't finish the job. Supporting a free Iran isn't just the right thing to do, it's a strategic necessity that will make the world a far safer and more prosperous place. May God bless our servicemen and women as they carry out this noble endeavor, and may the Lord give the people of Iran the courage to embrace this chance for freedom. All right, stay with us. We will be right back, getting ready to wrap up today's edition of Frankly Speaking.
When I was in law school, my father had to stop working when he developed early Alzheimer's. Social Security disability benefits saved my parents financially. I'm Peter Gorton of Lockman & Gorton. Now I'm a lawyer who helps people when they need Social Security disability. If you can't work, I'd like to help.
For a free consultation, call Lockman & Gorton toll-free 1-800-698-0567.
At Quickfill, what matters most is that our customers, our communities, and our heroes are taken care of. We start by providing American-made gasoline. which means you can buy local, keeping America and your communities strong. We also support vital charities every year and hold Operation Give Thanks each November to help provide a better future for our veterans and their families. We're proud to support the communities we live and work in, and we're doing our best every day to make our towns a better place. Quickfill, driving America.
Morning, still cool out there today, but not as cold as yesterday. We get the help of some sunshine as well. Temperatures topping off in the low and mid 30s. As we head into the overnight hours, we'll stay milder with mid and lower 20s for our low temperatures. We are going to enter a stretch that is both wetter and warmer as we head through the week, with multiple opportunities for rain. Could pick up some good accumulation by the end of the week.
The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Some viewer comments. Morning, Frank. Well, good morning. People need to pay attention because these Democrats are showing the world what their priorities are, which is anti-anything Trump. Thank you very much. Comment from a different viewer. Aren't these amazing times that we're living in, Frank? I believe that there is divine intervention taking place. A bullet only touched Trump's ear for a reason. God bless America and freedom-loving people everywhere. The New York Times says, here at home, Trump's most self-regarding critics, Gavin Newsom, Chris Murphy, Kamala Harris, are cluelessly condemning the president's action. Not a one of them has any vision that rises above partisan domestic politics. America's enemies aren't so foolish. They know now, if they didn't before, that the president is a cool and canny calculator and a fearless defender of our nation's interest. Jonathan Turley said Trump boxed Congress into a fight or flight choice on Iran. And this is in reference to Thomas Massie, who is going to vote on this, to get the vote on this. In other words, Trump, like some of his predecessors, has boxed in Congress. Presidents are allowed to initiate hostilities, and Congress will not end them by limiting our options. The choice is now to finish the fight or flee the battlefield. Mike Davis said that why Trump's Iran strike was necessary and was lawful. President Trump does not need permission from Congress to prevent the next Pearl Harbor. As it turns out, it's hard for Iran's supreme leader to sink American ships when his house is reduced to rubble, and he is turned into a charred skeleton. Good riddance, Ayatollah, and to his defenders in Congress, sorry for your loss. All right. Wow, I can't believe we're out of time. Was there anything else that I want to get to? I think we covered everything. Cuba faces 0 hour as Trump and Rubio put squeeze on the regime. There's a number of epidemics rippling through the population right now. Repression is increasing as the regime feels cornered, and they are not signaling any willingness to negotiate with the U.S. These people are really, really bad guys, and they have shown this capacity to survive difficult crises. I don't think they can survive this one. And we heard earlier Lindsey Graham saying Cuba was next. I wanted to mention this. I thought this was a good point just before we go. Jon Stewart, the host of The Daily Show, not a fan of Trump. He was on MSN Now, and he said, I think within the media, it gets back to, you talked about it earlier, you said it's about what you earn with your audience. And I wonder if, in media, they've squandered some of that based on those incentives. So, for instance, we'll go back to, there's always that rush of like, now we've got Trump and the Mueller report, and it's Mueller time, and all these things, and the hype machine that generates that. Whether it was for action in Iraq or accountability through these special counsels, that it raises an expectation of its audience. It did. Velshi, the host, added that the hype generated by the media around stories like the Mueller report act as a dopamine rush for audiences. Aside from raising expectation, Stewart said such coverage also leads audiences to expect those involved to face consequences for their reported action, which may never come. The more you run on that hamster wheel or gerbil wheel, I wonder if that begins to numb your audience to consequences, and is that where the trust has been lost? That not only is about holding to account, but it's about tempering their expectation. He added that while it's fine to add a little dressing to news coverage to grab the audience, it's also important to relay the important stories. It can't all be the world's on fire all the time, because then nobody thinks there's a fire. It can't all be breaking news, because then nothing is breaking news. All right, so they lost They squandered the trust of the people with the Trump-Russia collusion narrative. That does it for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Thank you to everybody who joined us. Join us tomorrow starting at 6 a.m. for Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV. Big Fox, we'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early. Look forward to it already.
What better way to start or end every day than relaxing in your very own Hesselson's hot tub? Massage therapy, relaxation, stress reliever, pain management, soothing muscles, or just spending time with a loved one. Hot water therapy really does make every day better. Hesselson's has been a part of this great community for over 70 years, still being locally owned and operated. So make the drive to Hesselson's and start making your path to a better life today. And after 70 years, it's still fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
For your auto team.
The best hockey rink?
Ask Google. The best jewelry store? Ask Google.
The best Ram dealer?
Ask Google. We did. Google reviews from customers rank Ferrario Ram in Elmira the highest Ram dealer in our area.
If you don't see me, I can't save you any money.
Check out the new Rams with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty during Ram Truck Month.
Visit Ferrario in Elmira or at Ferrario.com.